Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. The trial for a man charged with killing an NC State student who he married days before her death continues. Erick Hernandez-Mendez is accused of stabbing his wife, Christina Matos, in April of 2021. This week, we are learning how prosecutors believe she was killed. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has been following this case and was inside the courtroom today. Thanks for being here, Chelsea.
Thank you.
So what is the background on this case?
This is a case now coming to fruition 3 years later, where Christina, NC State student Erick Hernandez-Mendez, who was in this country undocumented, and another roommate, Kaylee Lynch-Viracano, were living in an apartment complex on Hillsborough Street 5 days before Christina was killed, brutally stabbed. She married Erick Hernandez-Mendez, and it's been said and noted several times in court, this was not a marriage out of love, but more a transactional marriage where Christina was willing to marry him, basically to get that license for him and to help him get a green card.
She wanted help because she understands that immigration is a hard thing, and she wanted to give him a good future because she's seen potential in him.
Your sister told you about the sum of money that she was to receive for marrying the defendant, correct?
Yes.
And that was $10,000?
Yes.
And so what we know is that a few days after that marriage, they had to do a welfare check because they hadn't heard from her in 3 days. And so that is what prompted really first a missing persons case with Raleigh police.
There was money scattered across the floor, U.S. currency that was scattered along the floor of the bathroom. She was face up. She had a large volume of blood covering her face and her torso.
And then that quickly shifted into Erick being the main suspect for murder and ultimately being charged a few days after that initial missing persons investigation.
And how has this trial been going since it started last week?
Yeah, so we're on day 7 of this trial. Erick Hernandez-Mendez has been sitting in a Wake County jail for 3 years waiting for this all to begin. It's a pretty emotional courtroom. You know, you've got his family that's sitting directly behind him, and then you have a big family, part of Christina's family, that are here. And, you know, they're very emotional, especially in hearing this lengthy interview that's been played of Erick being interviewed after Christina's death by a Raleigh police detective.
We married because she knew that it would benefit me.
Okay. Alright.
So we did, like, love each other, we did.
Do you see a future, is what I'm asking.
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Where is she at?
She's in Noah's apartment.
Is she staying in the apartment? Wait, in her room?
The state plans to hopefully rest their case by the end of this week, potentially into next week. So it's taking a little longer than expected, and that's just because there's just mountains of evidence and things to show the jury in this case.
And what is some of that evidence that we've seen so far?
So today was pretty interesting because we got another look at this lengthy interview that they did. And really what was interesting about this is how emotionless he was when he was being just questioned for hours and hours and hours about Christina's death.
This is your time to shine, okay? I need 100% honesty. That blood trail went straight to your room and nowhere else. Something you need to tell me?
I really don't know how to answer to that. I really don't know. I would never cause harm to no one.
The other thing that we saw that we've never seen before is video inside of their Hillsborough Street apartment, where you can see Christina Matos going in for the last time on April 3rd of 2021, but she never comes back out. We see Erick Hernandez-Mendez going in and out, and Kaylee Lynch-Viracano, who is the other roommate, who was also subsequently charged in this case, a lesser charge, going in and out. And what was interesting is we did see some surveillance video today from Walgreens where Erick is seen buying some cold medicine and some other items, but then he's buying Clorox bleach and Clorox wipes. And we're seeing him bring those into the apartment after Christina was last seen. So that was really kind of an interesting detail that the jury got a look at today.
All right, well, let's take a quick break right there and we'll be right back. Chelsea, how much longer are we expecting this trial to go?
So it appears that this could bleed into next week, which wasn't expected. The defense now has 7 witnesses that they need to call in their time, which is not a lot, but we're kind of nearing the end of this trial. And they do plan to call Erick Hernandez-Mendez to the stand, which is a little bit unconventional in many murder cases, but that could happen Friday or into next week. And so, it could be a few more days before this trial concludes.
All right. Is there anything else that we're watching for as this thing continues to go?
I think what will be most interesting and most revealing is Erick Hernandez-Mendez on the stand. He has been charged in this murder of his new wife of just 5 days, who was an NC State student, who admittedly married her just basically so he could stay in this country. There was no love between them. And I think it would be interesting when he's questioned about, how he is pretty emotionless and sort of unfazed in this questioning, how he will be able to deal with that in the courtroom, on the stand, kind of being peppered with questions. So I expect that part of the trial to be pretty interesting.
All right. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I know you're going to continue to stay on top of this trial for us. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. If you've listened to this podcast on WRAL.com or the WRAL News app, you can also find it in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to your podcasts. Follow the show so you don't miss an episode. Thanks for listening.